Welcome to the tutorial on iterative magnitude comparator. Before we begin, we need to understand as to why we go for an iterative design model. The previously seen binary comparators, that is 1-bit and 2-bit, were used in order to compare bits that were of lower order. But when we want to compare bits of higher order, the size of the comparator will increase, which in turn will increase the length of the truth table. Moreover, the complexity also increases. So in order to reduce the complexity, the principle of designing a single cell or a stage and then repeating the design can be applied to the comparator. And this technique of designing a single cell, each with a set of inputs and outputs, and then cascading the cells to form a larger circuit is called as the iterative design. So here is the basic model of an iterative circuit which shows the intercell relationship. So we have the primary inputs that we are going to apply, and usually the primary inputs are the input operands that we apply, and the primary outputs correspond to the various output conditions. That is, we obtain the primary output conditions to be in terms of A greater than B, A less than B, or A equal to B for the case of the comparator. For each cell, we have the secondary input and we have the secondary output. So the secondary output of the first cell becomes the secondary input for the next cell, and the secondary output of the second cell becomes the secondary input of the third cell. And the inputs that enter the entire iterative circuit and the outputs that exit the same circuit are called as boundary inputs, which is shown here, and these are the boundary outputs. So the input to the iterative design model is called as the boundary input, and the output of the iterative design model is called as the boundary output. And the intercell secondary inputs and the outputs are encoded using 2 bits, so that the 3 output states can be conveyed easily. So let us look into how we can apply the iterative design model for a 4-bit magnitude comparator. So here you can see that we have made use of 4 cells, and I have represented the 4 cells as cell 0, cell 1, cell 2 and cell 3. So this is the boundary input and this is the boundary output. This also forms the secondary input, secondary output, which is given to the secondary input of the next cell. This is the secondary output of the cell 1, which is given to the secondary input of the cell 2, and so on. So as you can see, the intercell secondary inputs and the outputs are encoded using 2 bits. So we are encoding the secondary inputs and the outputs, but the boundary output that is obtained will be 3 output states, which conveys A equal to B, A greater than B and A less than B. So here what we are doing is we are performing the encoding operation to represent the 2 bits, whereas here we are performing the decoding operation so that we can represent the 2 bits in terms of 3 output conditions. So all the comparator cells that are being used in this particular case are identical, and the least significant cell will have its secondary inputs grounded, which is shown here. And when you have the secondary inputs to be grounded, which means that the operand A is equal to operand B. So each cell will compare the external data that it receives and checks the result from the previous cell and then transmit it to the next cell. So in this particular case, you are going to check A0, B0 with SI10 and SI20 and decide on whether it is A greater than B, A less than B or A equal to B, and transmit the encoded value corresponding to the result to SO10, SO20, and that is passed on to SI11, SI21. So this portion is basically performing or transmitting the encoded information, whereas this block, which is also sometimes called as the converter block, will decode the information in terms of 3 boundary conditions. So let us further understand the iterative 4-bit magnitude comparator with an example. So here I am going to represent SI corresponding to the secondary input and SO corresponding to the secondary output. So let me define SO2 as the secondary output 2 and SI1 as the secondary input 1. And here is a truth table, and this truth table is the representation of the encoded data. So that is why you can see the functions that I am representing. We have A equal to B, A greater than B, A less than B. If you remember, I mentioned that we are performing the encoding in these blocks because the result of this comparison was supposed to be in terms of A greater than B, A equal to B or A less than B. But here the output of SO, that is the secondary output, is just 2 bits. So these 2 bits have to be encoded. So that encoding has been done in this particular table. So this table which shows the encoding is left to you, or your choice of encoding. You can choose the way you want the 2 bits to be. In this case, I have chosen 0, 0 to correspond to A equal to B, 0, 1 to be equal to A greater than B, 1, 1 to be equal to A less than B. Because it is not mentioned as to how you have to encode, so I have chosen this particular way. If you want to encode in a different manner, you can do the same thing. Whereas in some questions, they will specify that you have to encode the function in one particular manner when you represent the 2 bits of the secondary output. So in that manner itself, you have to encode and then proceed with the numerical. So this is my table. Let me show you the next condition that we obtain and how we are going to obtain each of them. Let me explain. So here I am considering the secondary inputs, that is my encoded data I am considering. So if this is my encoded data, you know that in the 4-bit iterative comparator, at each cell we had the external inputs which were represented as A0, B0, A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3. So at each cell you have A0, B0, which are the 2 operands, and this A0, B0 is basically 2 bits. This is also 2 bits. So you are going to find out what is the present state and what is the next state. So this becomes your present state and this becomes your next state. So here I am having the next condition, which is AJ, BJ to B of the form 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, because they are 2 operands of 2 bits. So that is why you can have 4 combinations, that is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So let me check out as to how I have obtained these results. So for that, let me explain you row wise corresponding to A equal to B, A greater than B, A less than B, and the last one, that is the don't care. So for the first case, that is A equal to B, I am considering the table once again. So I have the encoded data. A equal to B means B is equal to 0, 0, A greater than B is equal to 0, 1, A less than B is equal to 1, 1. The first one is grounded, so this is my present state and this is the next state. When the result is A equal to B, usually in terms of binary, the condition that comes into our picture is, if it is a single bit, it can be 0 equals 0 or 1 equals 1. So in this case, either we can have A to be equal to 0 and B to be equal to 0, or 1 equal to 1. So this is my output of the first cell. So that is the present state. When I am going to give this to the next state, I can have these 4 possibilities. I can have it to be 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So for that, what I am doing is, I am representing the present state. That is, I am considering only the first one, that is 0, 0 condition. So present state is represented, and the next state is represented in the form of AJ, BJ. So you have 0, 0, which is indicated in red color, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. So I have to consider these to be A and this to be B. So I will compare A and B and encode it depending upon the way I have considered the representation. So let me see the first case. 0, 0 compared with 0, 0, A is equal to B, and according to the encoding that I have assumed, it is supposed to be represented as 0, 0. That is why I get it as 0, 0. Next, 0, 1 case, I have 0, 0 which is less than 1, 0, and I have encoded this as 1, 1. That is why the result is equal to 1, 1. 1, 0, 0, 0, A greater than B, and I have encoded it as 0, 1. That is why it is equal to 0, 1 here, and in the table I have written it as 0, 1. 1, 0, 1, 0, A equal to B and encoded as 0, 0. That is why it is mentioned here. Now this was the case when I considered that A and B are both zeros. So same thing applies when I consider A and B to be equal to 1. So for A and B to be equal to 1, I have indicated in the yellow color, and the various combinations I have indicated in the red color. So I am going to compare A and B and yield the result. If you see, the result that is obtained here and the result that is obtained here is exactly the same. So the same thing is being written in the table. So next we have for the case of A greater than B, and I am going to consider the table again, and this is the encoded representation that I have considered. And as you can see, I have drawn the iterative model once again to show the present state and the next state. Now in this particular case, for the case of A greater than B corresponding to the second row, this condition exists only when A is greater than B, means A is logic 1 and B is logic 0. So I am going to write the present state, that is 1, 0 in black color to indicate that this is the present state, and the next state can have the 4 possibilities which are shown here: 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So those 4 possibilities I have represented in the red color. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, and now I am segregating and taking it as operand A and operand B and doing the comparison. So 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 compared with 0, A greater than B, and as per my encoded data, A greater than B is considered as 0, 1. That is why I have 0, 1 here. 1 is less than 2, so that is why A less than B is encoded as 1, 1. That is why you have 1, 1 here. 3 is greater than 0, A greater than B encoded as 0, 1. That is why corresponding to 1, 0 you have a 0, 1 here. 1, 1 is greater than 1, 0, again encoded as 0, 1. That is why corresponding to 1, 1 you have 0, 1 here. So in this case, only one condition exists, that is 1 greater than 0. So the same thing, whatever is being specified in yellow, that is the encoded data, has been highlighted on the table. So moving on to the last condition, that is the last row of the table, which is A less than B. So again, I'm considering the table and I'm considering the present state and the next state. And this exists only when A is 0 and B is 1. So I'm going to represent the present state in terms of the black mark. So you have 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 here, and the different possibilities for the next condition are represented in the red, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Now the two different things are considered as two different operands, and a comparison is done to be A less than B or A greater than B, and you can see that as per the encoded data, I'm going to have the result for A less than B to be equal to 1, 1, for A greater than B to be equal to 0, 1. So you can clearly observe that corresponding to 0, 0, next condition, I have the output to be 1, 1, corresponding to 0, 1, output is 1, 1, corresponding to 1, 0, output is 0, 1, and corresponding to 1, 1, output is 1, 1. So clearly you can tally the data that is obtained here with the one that is available on the table. Now for the last condition, that is the don't care, when you consider the secondary inputs which are of 2 bits, you can have 4 combinations, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. When I encoded my 3 output conditions, I have considered 0, 0, 0, 1 and 1, 1. So the last condition that remains is 1, 0, which is considered as the don't care. So when you have the condition 1, 0, that means all these terms are don't care terms. So if you want to obtain the logic circuit from the iterative design model, what we need to do is that we need to follow a procedure and obtain the minterms, use the Karnaugh map, simplify to obtain the canonical SOP expression, and when you are considering the minterms, you also need to consider the don't care terms. So here is the procedure which is provided in order to consider the minterms. So first we need to assign SI2, SI1, AJ, BJ. So you can see that this is the way we consider the weight for each input variable in this particular format, wherein SI2, SI1 is the most significant bit. So if you can recall from the table, SI2 and SI1 was the encoded data, whereas AJ, BJ is corresponding to the next condition. So you have the encoded data here first, and then you have AJ, BJ. So this will be the most significant variables and this will be the least significant variables. Then we need to locate all positions where the secondary output variable is equal to 1, determine the input variable combination and record the decimal minterm value. If there are any incompletely specified input conditions, then they will become the don't care terms. So let us apply this particular procedure and obtain the secondary outputs so that we can decode it to 3 boundary conditions. So you have the first one, I have to locate corresponding to the secondary output. So I am considering this first secondary output as SO2, which I have highlighted in the yellow color. So when I have to represent the minterm for this, it is going to be represented in terms of 4 variables, SI2, SI1, AJ, BJ. So if SO2 is equal to 1 in this case, it means that the minterm will be corresponding to the binary value of 0001. That is what is shown here, which is equivalent to decimal 1. When I come to this particular one, I have the MSB bits to be 01 and this is 01. So 0101 corresponds to decimal 5, 1100 corresponds to decimal 12, 1101 corresponds to decimal 13 and 1111 corresponds to decimal 15. Now when I write the expression for SO2, I have considered all the expressions for A equal to B, A greater than B, A less than B, but I also need to consider the don't care terms. For the don't care term, the encoded bit will be 10. That is what I mentioned earlier. So XX means it will be either 00, 01, 10, 11. So 1000 corresponds to 8, 1001 corresponds to 9, 1010 corresponds to 10 and 1011 corresponds to 11. The same don't care terms are to be used for the second bit also. In the similar manner like the way we have considered for SO2, we have represented the SO1 in green color and have highlighted the minterms, and I can write the decimal notations as 0100, which corresponds to 4. This is 0001 which corresponds to 1, 0010 which corresponds to 2 and so on. In order to simplify further, what I have done is I have returned the minterms here and I have the Karnaugh map which will have the 4 variables. So since it's a 4 variable Karnaugh map, I can clearly map the minterms including the don't care terms. Now when I am performing the grouping, I need to ensure that I can also include the don't care terms as much as possible. So I get the term as AJ bar S12, AJ bar BJ, BJ S12. These are the 3 different groups, and that is why I obtained the expression for SO2 in this particular form. Similarly, I can group the various minterms which corresponding to SO1, and I obtain the expression as SI1 plus AJ bar BJ plus AJ BJ bar. This term AJ bar BJ plus AJ BJ bar is equivalent to saying A XORed with B. So that is why I have represented this as SI1 plus AJ XORed with BJ. Now from the simplified equations I can draw the circuit. So here you can see that from the simplified equations I require the minimal number of gates, one that includes the XOR gate. Then you require a complement, so an inverter is being used, and this is a sum of product expression, so you require an OR gate. Now as per our encoded data, we have 00 corresponding to A equal to B, that is why this is considered as logic 1. 01 is equal to A greater than B, 11 is A less than B. For 10 it was a don't care. So this was what we had encoded. Now what we need to do is we need to make use of a decode logic and convert it back to 3 boundary outputs where we have A equal to B, A greater than B and A less than B. So again I am considering the encoded data, and the 3 boundary output variables will be defined based on this particular encoded data, wherein I am going to represent in terms of decimals. So this is SO2 and SO1. I need to write the boundary output variables as a function of SO2 and SO1. So 00 in decimal is 0, 01 is equal to 1, 11 is equal to 3 and 10 is equal to 2. So when I consider A equal to B, it is decimal 0, and I also need to consider the don't care term. For a greater than b, it is going to be a decimal 1 plus the don't care. For a less than b, it is decimal 3 plus the don't care term. So this will reduce to the expression a equal to b to be equal to SO1 bar. So this is SO1 bar. The reason why I have represented only in terms of SO1 bar is because here SO2 toggles for decimal notation 0 and for the don't care, whereas SO1 remains the same, that is to be equal to logic 0. That is why this is equal to SO1 bar. For a greater than b, I have SO2 bar and SO1. So if I am considering this particular case, this will be 0 1, or the vice versa. If I am considering the don't care term, this will be 1 0. Whereas for a less than b, I have the term to be equal to SO2. That is because between the decimal notation 3 and 2, you have SO2 which is remaining stable to be equal to logic 1. Now using these 3 boundary outputs, I can easily draw the circuit, which is the circuit which converts the secondary outputs to the boundary outputs. So this circuit is basically a converter circuit which converts the encoded data and decodes it in the form of a equal to b, a greater than b, and a less than b. So with this understanding, let us solve an exercise wherein they have specified that we need to make use of a 1-bit comparator having 3 outputs: x equal to y, x greater than y, and x less than y. And they have also specified that we need to code the outputs in terms of 2 bits, S1 and S0, and the coding has also been specified, that is 001001 for x is equal to y, x greater than y, and x less than y. So they have specified the coding, whereas previously we have explained the concept by considering the coding on our own. So encoding was done as per our choice, whereas this question clearly states as to how we are supposed to code. So finally they have asked us to convert the end result back to 3 outputs, and we have to design the iterative model. So kindly solve this as an exercise and check your result.